I'm super excited about this. I actually cannot contain it.
I'm just preparing my heart for this impactful session.
Especially in your industry, I think there's a lot of demand from you to always look your best, to sell everything to your clients and to keep their interest in mind as well.
I think for such a long time in my life, I thought that my life would be fulfilled as long as I perform.
We have to look out for the signs so that we can preventatively treat it, right? That's what we want. Ideally, you don't want to wake up one day and you're burned out.
I'm going down here, guys. Brace for impact.
Sometimes, and with burnout, there can be a honeymoon phase where you're actually taking more on your plate. So you're like, hey, I'm not doing enough. That's the start of it.
Do you feel personally victimized?
I do. I feel like I should actually leave the room quickly.
When your relationships and your connections around you, your inner circle is telling you like, hey, you're not resting enough, like they're gonna pick up when you're doing too much at work.
Just things started resurfacing. Like it's almost like my body was like, you're not allowed to feel safe. You're not allowed to rest. Hi everyone, welcome back to the Aesthetic Perspective. I'm Cleo.
And I'm Sine.
And today I'm super excited about this. I actually cannot contain it. Today we have Cari. She is currently a counselor with a background in psychology and theology. She's also a dancer. She's a fitness instructor. What does she not do? She's currently practicing at Rachem Wellness in Potchefstroom. I'm super excited to have you, Cari. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Full disclosure, guys, from moment one, Cari has actually been walking me through some of my healing journey. We said in the beginning with this podcast that we want to equip current somatologists, and that's why, or current people in the aesthetic industry. And that's why we would find this episode super helpful. Mental wellness and emotional wellness is so important in this industry. So, Cari, thank you so much for being with us today. Without further ado, let's jump straight into it. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your journey and just where you come from?
Yeah, so originally I was born in Vanderbilt Park and then we moved to Durban. After Durban, I went to Potchefstroom with my studies and I studied theology and psychology for 3 years. Then I did my honors in psychology and my master's in theology.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's been an amazing journey. I've learned a lot. I'm working with a variety of people and it's been so much fun growing because you grow as you go because there's so many different people with different struggles. So you learn on the go as well while you're practicing.
You've obviously always had a passion to help people,
yes.
to just see people thriving.
Yes,
and
sure.
I remember in my sessions with you, that's literally like you want that person in front of you to be the best version of themselves.
Exactly. I want them to find meaning and healing and just to become a better version of themselves, to know themselves. I also do the temperament profiling and I think it's such a great tool to get to know yourself. So yeah.
And
You're very quiet.
I'm absorbing. I'm just preparing my heart for this impactful session. Cari, obviously because you work in such a magnificent way with people, did you experience something that led you to becoming this person?
So it was a journey for me. So I discovered the psychology book in, I think it was grade 8. And then it really was like, I was like, wow. And then I saw this model from a friend, a high school friend, whose mom was teaching us ballet, but she was also a counselor. And I was like, yeah, I want to go into that, like to both those passions, to embrace it. And so it was just always on my mind to become a psychologist. And it wasn't really my plan to do the theology part, but with psychology, it's really hard to get in to master's level, even honors level. So it just came across my path and the right doors were open to study them parallel, which was great because with theology, you can also counsel people.
Of course.
It's not like studying English. Now you have to become a teacher instead of counseling.
Yes.
So I can still get the practical side of things. So it just made the most sense to me.
That's amazing.
And I feel like it helps to focus holistically.
Yes, for
the
sure.
theology versus the psychology. I think there's a place for both. And it's been super valuable for me personally. Why do you think that emotional wellness and mental wellness matter so much, especially in our industry?
So especially in your industry, I think there's a lot of demand from you to always look your best, to sell everything to your clients and to keep their interest in mind as well. And you have to, in the aesthetic industry, always push in more clients. So I think there's a bigger chance for you guys to get burned out. And I'll just want to dive right into the psychological, physiological side of things and how that impacts us psychologically. So we have a vagus nerve, which goes from our brain to our gut, which is really interesting. And this Dr. Stephen, he hypothesized the polyvagal theory, which suggests that we have 3 states of being in our bodies, right? And so it's the sympathetic system, which is kind of the flight or fight system. So that's when you're feeling overwhelmed at work, you're feeling anxious. Then there's the dorsal vagal state, which is even one step back, where it's freeze. So you experience something very traumatic in your life, and then you're stuck. So that's kind of burnout, and we'll get into that now. So that's where you're feeling like lack of motivation and all these things. Then we get the base state, which is the ventral vagal system. Yes. So that is the one where you are calm, like we are now. We can have a conversation. You can connect with people. So that is a branch of the parasympathetic system. Okay. But it's not the entire system of that, because when you're resting, let's say, that doesn't mean you want to socialize when you're lying in your bed, right?
Yes.
So what we get in the aesthetic industry is with burnout, we want to get people back to the ventral vagal state of being. And sadly, when you're in burnout already, that is kind of like compressed, like you can't get access to the ventral vagal state where you are feeling calm and secure, and you feel like it's a safe place.
I feel like any career is gonna
can get there
100%.
Yes.
Mostly the aesthetic industry, that's what we're focusing on. But we're focusing on a lot of people today in
sure.
this session. I feel like the aesthetic industry just might bring some things out because it's such a superficial industry.
You sometimes, let's say, and especially if it's like you're just focusing on your looks, you're not delving deep into deeper meaning, then it's going to be easier to get burned out.
On that note, on that note, how would you say, you were saying now sometimes we get stuck in the fight or flight. How do you know you're stuck?
Yeah, that's what I actually want to get to. So, great, we're the same wavelength. So we have to look out for the signs so that we can preventatively treat it, right? That's what we want. Ideally, you don't want to wake up one day and you're burned out. That's going to suck because you're going to probably have to leave your job for a bit. So I think when you're already feeling like overwhelmed, you're fatigued, you have body aches sometimes, lack of motivation, and sometimes, and with burnout, there can be a honeymoon phase where you're actually taking more on your plate. So you're like, hey, I'm not doing enough. And that's the start of it.
Do you feel personally victimized?
I do. I feel like I should actually leave the room quickly.
So that's the honeymoon phase. And it's starting to go to burnout.
Okay. I'm going down, you guys. Brace for impact.
So it's a good sign to look out for when you're feeling like, hey, I'm not doing enough. Maybe I should do more at work. And you're taking on all these responsibilities.
Even though you're feeling quite exhausted and not motivated, but you're still taking on.
It's not at that level yet. So the honeymoon phase is before that.
Okay.
Right? So when people around you, your support system is telling you, hey, you're at work the whole time. Why are you not visiting with us? Like, hey, I have to do so much work. Sorry, I can't catch up now. Like, that's kind of signs to look out for. When your relationships and your connections around you, your inner circle is telling you like, hey, you're not resting enough. Like, they're going to pick up when you're doing too much at work. And that's kind of like when we talk about resilience. So resilience means to bounce back, right? So that's crucial to know. And it's kind of like this metaphor that I heard, or analogy about a bungee, right? So your rope, your resources needs to be secure to a platform and can't be built on something superficial. And so that can be your family, that can be God, that can be something else that you find meaning in, right? That is your secure platform. And then your bungee rope needs to also not be flimsy. Your resources needs to be good. Like it needs to be filled with a good balance of things in your life that actually help you to not burn out. So that rope doesn't just, fall and just
Yes.
splat there.
On that note, how do you actually identify your rope? Like, how do you find the resources that keep you from splatting?
I think what are you busy with in your day to day? Like, what is your day made up of? So let's say you're in the honeymoon phase and you're feeling like, hey, I'm taking on so much on work. Okay, then your day is like 80% work. What's the other 20%? Is it like kind of passive coping? Because there's passive and active coping. So if passive coping is going to be like, okay, cool, I feel so drained when I get home, I'm just going to brainlessly scroll through social media. And I feel like I'm, I'm kind of filling myself with something good, but I'm not. That doesn't help you. Then your rope is kind of flimsy because it's built on brainless things that doesn't help you. Let's say you have a rope that is built on getting out there, spending time with people, having a meaningful conversations with people, exercise, good sleep routine. These habits form your rope. And that helps you to bounce back when the pressure is on. Right?
So what I'm getting from this is your rope, your resource system also needs to be quite strong. So,
it does. It needs to be flexible in the sense that it can absorb pressure.
So interpersonal relationships, like healthy relationships, that would be good.
Yes.
Nutrition, overall health. Okay. It's all about balance.
It is about balance. And some people think like working 90% of the time is going to fill them and that's going to be balanced, but it's not.
I think for such a long time in my life, I thought that my life would be fulfilled as long as I perform. So automatically, I think I still feel like that. I'm saying like for such a long, I'm still
here.
I think I still feel like that.
Yeah.
But how do you get to a point where you actually identify how to have proper work-life balance?
I think you can sit down and actually reflect on, like, you can even do start with your body physically, because you can feel your body, right? You can sit there and be like, okay, let's think, like, what am I feeling? Am I feeling tired? What is my mental well-being like? What am I thinking about? Am I negative? Am I positive in my mind? So I think to ground yourself and actually be quiet and to reflect on these things is the first step. And then you can use the vagus nerve system, right? The polyvagal theory, to also help you to get in a state of rest. So that's going to help you to become more resilient. So to get from the let's say the sympathetic system, the fight or flight, where you're feeling anxious at work and you're like, hey, I need to do more, I need to perform, I need to strive more, to teach yourself to use your body to actually get yourself trained into the vagal state where you can rest more, because that's going to help you to be more resilient. And there's actually so many things that can help you with that. So let's say you start humming, right? That can even help you to put your body in a state of rest, to have nature walks. And it sounds too simple, but it actually helps, and not too many people apply this. And that's why we have this outbreak of anxiety in workplaces, because people don't know how to rest. Right? So this is actually training yourself to, even through breath work, you can do deep breathing techniques. Because let's say you are in a fight with a bear, right? You're not going to take time to do slow breathing. You want to run away from that bear or climb a tree, right? So what it signals to your brain is, hey, clearly I can rest because there's no threat. You have time to breathe, so that means
there is no threat.
I can chill out. Yeah.
Just no one's dying. Just relax.
Exactly.
Yeah. So cool.
And another thing that you asked about, and I wrote it down because I can remember this guy's theory. But he's called the Rife. So we can actually use positive psychology as well to identify, like, what are your strengths, to put more, I'll get to him now. My mind's shifting now, thinking everywhere. So Martin Seligman was a guy that invented positive psychology. And he said, we need to not focus too much on the negatives all the time. Like, hey, where am I deficit? Like you asked, like, where do I identify what I'm doing wrong? Like, let's identify what are your strengths, right? And then to put more of your resources and time into that strength.
That's amazing.
Does that make sense?
Definitely.
So you can go do the VIA character strength survey as well, the free one. And like for me, I identified my top 3 was spirituality. So finding a bigger meaning in life, which is part of the transcendent strength. as well as curiosity. So I'm very curious about people, about things. So for me, I can recharge myself by learning. So I can go out and try something new, right? Instead of doing dancing, I can go bounce, right? To identify like, hey, cool, what is something new that makes me curious? And for you as well, what in the aesthetic industry are you recharging other people with? Yeah. Like, let's say, because the aesthetic industry is massive, it's like also hairdressers, masseuses, like if you're also always giving massages, what is the tools that you are using to treat other people and treat yourself in the same way, right?
Absolutely.
To also get a massage, also do your nails if you're doing everyone else's nails.
So let's go back to where we started.
Yeah.
I burnt out, but I only burnt out, I only realized that when I was in the middle of my burnout.
Yes.
So just in short, how would you say, what are the signs of early burnout? The signs of I am actually, because there's obviously an emotional and a physical burnout.
Yes.
Usually they are hand in hand together.
Yeah.
How do you identify I'm going to burn out or I'm burning out already? Just some practical signs.
Yes, I think, like I mentioned, you want to take more on than you have capacity for. Like, what is your motive? You need to ask yourself, like, what is my motive? Why do I want to take on more? Like, do I want to prove something to myself? Am I doing this to cope in a way that is not healthy? So if you're taking on more, and you have to actually say no to sleep, you have to say no to things that are healthy for you, like exercise and family. I think that's an early sign that you're taking on too much work, and that's an early sign of going into the dorsal vagal eventually. Or maybe you have anxiety, right? You have a lot of anxiety you can't get rid of. That's a sign that you're in the sympathetic system at the moment. And you're like, what are you fighting? Or what are you trying to flee from? I think, and then the other signs to look out for is obviously you're becoming cynical about your work. You're thinking like, oh, I don't want to go to work. I have no motivation to go to work. You're criticizing other people at work. So cognitively, you don't have the motivation to go to work. So lack of motivation, muscle pains. So your whole body is actually giving you very clear signs. It's not this hidden thing that's like gonna bam you one day. Like you're gonna know, like, hey, I'm not feeling that great. And you need to sit down and ask yourself why. Don't just push through those signs.
I think what I'm actually hearing from this is obviously how self-aware you actually have to be, and how valuable that awareness is. Where do you actually start with being more self-aware? I think within this year, I grew a lot personally, and purely because I spend so much in reflection and being a bit more self-aware and finding what lights me up and what keeps me going. And for me, I usually journal in the morning, and I have this little 5-step thing. So I identify 5 things that actually make me happy within that, let's say 15 minutes, like little time slots. Whatever pops into my mind, I write it down and I cling to it, because I think throughout the day, so many things could go wrong. But whenever I start my day with a positive outlook, my day feels a lot better compared to when I wake up and maybe I've overslept those 15 minutes and I don't have time to do it. I can really feel the difference in how my energy reflects into the world. So where would you say, how do I start with self-awareness? What is step 1?
That's kind of what I'm hearing from you as well, is kind of states where you feel safe putting yourself and journaling, where you are experiencing the ventral vagal state, right? You feel safe journaling. You feel like there's almost a state of flow, what we call in positive psychology, is where hours can go by and you don't feel like you need to check your watch. Like I'm journaling, like an hour can go by, 2 hours, and you're enjoying it.
Yes.
So to answer your question, what is filling your tank? You need to ask yourself, because we get different temperaments, right? And just for interest, I went to go look up, like in the aesthetic industry, the big 5 personality traits. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe not. Like what do you see in the aesthetic industry specifically, like which people are prone to what? So I wrote it down. Let's see. So tendency to have a higher openness towards experience. We can see that quite regularly with aesthetic professionals. So they have a tendency towards curiosity. So if you are, and not all aesthetic professionals are going to be, right? But this is just generalizing. So what makes you curious? Go find out, like, what does it feel like to journal? do gratitude training. And because you guys are working with creative fields, you need to be open to also embrace your own creativity in your personal life when you're resting, not only in your field of work, right? To have that balance. And then moderately extroversion. So you have to work with clients face to face the whole time. So you need high energy, talkativeness. And if you're an aesthetic professional and you feel drained talking to people the whole time, maybe you're not that high in extroversion and you're maybe not even in the right field of work.
Right? No, like...
you need to then know your limits and be able to fill your cup more and limit the clients that you see.
And also it's difficult to say, like, they mustn't affect my energy because they do, because you're talking to them. So I've learned how to actually just fill my cup more in between.
So because that's actually a drainer for you then, like talking to clients the whole time.
Not the whole time, but I don't get recharged as much as, for instance, with Sune. She loves chatting to clients.
Yes. It fills you more.
I love new people. Like I always want to speak to new people. It takes
a little bit more effort. So I had to learn to just chill. You can have a conversation. It doesn't need to be, everything doesn't need to be super factual. Exactly. But that's super cool.
So that comes back to your self-awareness, right? You need to be self-aware of your own temperament and your own personality. Like what makes you tick. And if you are not as extroverted than the job demands, your limits. Right?
And I also think this really helps you decide where in the industry you are supposed to be.
Yeah, where can I place myself? Am I supposed to be more an admin?
Yes.
I really love beauty and aesthetics, but I don't directly want to work with the people.
Absolutely. And you can then go into like maybe doing more of the social media aspect of it, or maybe having a blog or something like that, compared to where for myself, I flourish with people. Yes. So working hands-on with the people is actually my ideal space within the industry. So cool.
And the next one is agreeableness. So in your industry, it's moderate to high. And I think if you're a very agreeable person, you're going to need to place boundaries in your life more than someone that is less agreeable. Because let's say your boss tells you, like, can you please do this and this and this and this? And it adds up that you have no rest. You need to have that boundary to say no. Like, I don't have capacity now. I already said yes to my child's soccer game, right? Then you need to have that boundary. And the next one is conscientiousness, which is moderate and it's role dependent. So that means if you're high in conscientiousness, you have a tendency to be more structured. And I think if you're a very structured person, you have high expectations for yourself and high expectations of others, right? And tendency to be perfectionistic. So if you see that in yourself, be like, okay, where can I relax more? Because I focus too much in my work to be perfectionistic. So it's not really a place of rest because I need everything to be perfect. So where can I recharge to preventatively treat burnout, right?
I think this is so interesting, because obviously in the session we did together, in my work life, I am so specific, so goal driven, so precise, so almost like a perfectionist, not necessarily to the details, but to the bigger picture. Compared to my personal or my social being, I am so relaxed. Nothing phases me, having the time of my life all the time. Yeah. And I think that's also my recharge. So even though both is filled with people, purely because my personality is almost a bit different in structure,
I think that helps you already.
Yes,
that balance.
Yeah. So interesting.
Right?
That's so interesting. Is that what you said?
Yes.
So you're like opposite in social life versus...
Yes. So work, I'm like super structured, super like on it. Compared to my personal life, I care more about the people than I do about anything else.
The task,
as long as everyone's happy, I'm happy. I don't care about plans. I don't care about anything like structured.
That's so cool.
And the last one, which is neuroticism, is your... emotional stability. So I think this gets us to talk a little bit about the lenses that we wear. So I think if you have lenses on that you know that you're emotionally feeling everything that everyone else says and you're almost taking it more negatively, then you might be higher in neuroticism. But this obviously differs for different people, not just in your industry that everyone would be high. But I think if you're high in conscientiousness, you might have a tendency to be higher in neuroticism because you're taking what people say. So I need people to, actually challenge their thoughts and to actually say like, hey, I'm thinking this, but what is, like, ask clarifying questions. Like, I'm thinking this, you said this, and this is how I took it. What did you really mean? Because obviously your mental life is also a source of depletion or recharging. Does that make sense? What I said?
100%. I want to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
So for myself, and I know there's multiple individuals that feel the same,
Yes.
when, like, obviously it felt to me like my whole life was kind of a rush.
Yes.
And it felt like I never really, because of lots of events that happened, I was always kind of an autopilot. And when I got married, when I was actually stable for the first time in my life, literally, and I was in a stable, I want to say, safe environment.
Yes.
It almost felt to me like just things started resurfacing. Like, it's almost like my body was like, you're not allowed to feel safe. You're not allowed to rest. We need to now come, let's deal with all of this. And I think a lot of people in the aesthetic industry, in any industry, this happens. When you start working and things become a bit more stable, you would often find wounds resurfacing, mindsets become clear. What am I actually thinking? And I think that's super valuable then to actually see someone and
For sure.
assist you with these things, like you did, for instance, with me. What would you say is your advice to someone that maybe is experiencing this? Like, they seeing, okay, some things are really resurfacing, and why does that happen?
So we have a tendency, so because I'm religious, I'm just going to share a little bit.
Yes.
So I believe God created the Sabbath for a reason. He wants us to sit and sometimes just let things resurface so that he can deal with it in your life. So it's almost an invite when those things filter up to go sit by him and say like, hey, God, can you help me deal with these things, right? Or whatever you find meaning in, like, let that source help you deal with it, right? So it's an invitation to deal with it. And because obviously, if there is a God, he wants you to be healthy. And if you're so busy suppressing everything that's going to happen in your life as you run, right?
Yeah.
You're just running and you're wondering why your hamstring tore. Like, you didn't rest. So obviously, right, you need to deal with that. And I think it is an invitation, like you said, to see someone to actually talk through those things.
I think it's so important that we almost always relate that self-awareness of dealing with whatever is surfacing to actually becoming the best version of yourself. Because I think as soon as you accept, okay, listen, these are my flaws, this is actually who I am, you can build from that.
For sure.
Because I think when you're suppressing it, obviously you're not dealing with it, so you're always keeping yourself back.
Exactly. And that's the theory that I wanted to touch on earlier. He created a wellness theory where he said you can identify in these 6 areas, which I'm going to mention now, where you are. So I'm feeling down. I don't know which one it is. My well-being feels down. Then he says use these 6 areas that he identified to see which area you're lacking in.
This is going to be so good.
To see which one you can build up in, right? So this is Rife's theory.
Just grab a...
At least you have it recorded. Let's see where I read this. So I had a mental health week with some students earlier, so I have some notes, and so that's why it's messed up. Yeah. So he hypothesized, those myths, because obviously mental health isn't just mental health. It's on a spectrum, right? So you can be okay, but you're not flourishing. So we always want to get ourselves to flourish more, not just to be in deficit mental illness with anxiety and depression. Now you're starting to do something about it. So I think it's an invitation for everyone to just start practicing self-care, right? And so he said, to improve the levels of functioning, you can increase your well-being. So he said, if there's an impaired self-acceptance, and that's why I said, your cognitive well-being, what are the thoughts you're thinking? It influences what you think about yourself and how you feel about yourself.
And how you see the world.
And how you're going to portray yourself in the world, in your work, in your social life. So the next one here was the purpose in life. So even positive psychology says anyone who's religious or embraces spirituality, they have a higher well-being than other people, based just on the fact that you feel that there's a higher meaning in life, right? It makes more sense. And then impaired purpose in life. So if your parents told you to go into and be an aesthetic professional, you're not going to be as internally motivated as someone else that has been dreaming to be, you know, an aesthetic professional. So if your purpose does not align and that comes out in your work, maybe that you weren't called to be this, right? So why? Like, ask yourself, why am I doing what I'm doing? Do I really, it fuels me to make other people feel beautiful. And that's what fuels you. That's deeper than just, I want money and I want to look good. Right? And then impaired autonomy. If you feel like you don't have a say, you don't have almost power over anything, and then it's going to affect your well-being at work. And that links to job satisfaction as well. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah? And the next one is impaired positive relations with others. Make sure you have a healthy
support structure.
Yeah, for sure. And I've talked to, I was at a wedding recently, and I talked to the makeup artist, I think it was, or the hairdresser, one of them, told me a story of how they work in a buddy system, right? Because they're not as competitive, like, hey, no, you're not going to take my business from me. So be open to buddy systems at work so that you can help each other grow your client right? List, and also to have that balance then between work and life, because if they can't take it one weekend because they have something on, then someone else can take over for them. So I think that's a better view than comparison, to be like, no, I need to be the best in the industry, right? Be the best in your field. Does that make sense?
100%. What I want to ask,
yeah,
some people in this industry are wondering, did I choose the right industry?
Yes.
How would you say, what are key indicators that maybe it is time to move to a different industry? Just practically.
Yeah.
And obviously you're going to feel not content. Yes, obviously. But like you just said, sometimes parents and things have an influence on this. So just some key indicators.
Yeah, I think like you said, like the dissatisfaction, you have a deep dissatisfaction and you're longing to get free. Like you're just longing for the time to go away. You're not present. I think that's the key. You're not present at work. You're just wishing it was weekend the whole time, right? I think that's one of the indicators that you're starting to maybe burn out, or it's not the right sphere of work for you, because or you're just taking on to a large of a load. So I think also to reflect then again, what is your motive? Why are you doing what you're doing? Is it just to get money? Because that's not deep enough to carry you. But being externally motivated, like let's say your parents encouraged you to go into this industry, and it can become internally motivated where you realize one day, hey, I really enjoy this.
Yes.
But reflect on that. So go sit down and actually reflect why.
I think what we've spoken about and what Cleo and I so often see is people come into the industry quite passionate about it.
Yeah, big eye, bushy tail. Yeah.
Yes, like they're so excited to be a part of it. But their first experience within the working field actually breaks down that passion. And it almost like, because the environment isn't good, it ruins their passion for the industry, and then they transition to a different industry. Would you say that that is the wrong lookout? Would you say they should rather opt for a better employer, or would you say it's something more internal they have to work on, or is it then actually time to move on?
It can be either of those that you mentioned, in the sense that I think it's dependent on your context as a worker, right? So I think if it is a thing of, this industry was not good for me, give yourself a chance in another industry, like try another business before you just scratch the whole thing. That would be my encouragement.
Or a different sector in that industry.
Exactly. Just to be like, hey, I studied this for a while. I've been working and investing in myself in this job for a while. So let me give it another shot in another, like you said, sector or another business, to just see if maybe that passion is still inside. Or if you have too much clients that you squeeze in, maybe you just have to limit that.
Yes,
and
because
look at your temperament again.
That obviously relates back to how you're filling your cup at the end of the day.
Exactly. How you're filling your cup externally, what you have inside you internally already, and how that interacts with the environment.
We did our temperament and leadership styles with Cari actually recently, our whole team actually. And it was super interesting. I think it was super helpful for me just to understand that, like, I'm not crazy because I don't like when things get too emotional, and learning that these different temperaments have such an influence on the way we do things. Why is it valuable to do a test like this?
Oh, for sure, because then you're going to know what fills your cup. So this test talks about, it divides you into a tree, like, and it tells you, like, what is your life view? How do you view the world? Because that's going to drive you, right? And how you view others then. And what fills you is your fertilizer as a tree. And what is your frostbite? What absolutely drains you? Because your frostbites might be different, but being placed in the same environment, you're going to see how that has an impact on you, right, as a person. So it really helps you to understand yourself in your work life, socially, and your life view. And then how to understand your family as well. And what do you need to tell people at work?
And your co-workers.
What do you need to tell them? So that, because maybe now you two understand each other better and you can support one another better based on the test, knowing like, hey, you've always done this, but this actually drains you. Let's switch it up a little bit.
Can we do an example, like a practical example of this?
Yeah.
Obviously, you understand the trees. I've gone over my profile so many times. I don't like it if we box ourselves into things like this, because I think sometimes people get stuck. They're like, I am a box rose personality.
And I won't be able to change.
I cannot change. Yeah. I'll never like people or something like that. So maybe we can do a bit of a practical example. For instance, I was a box rose in my work profile. Sune was
just a rose
bush. So would you give us some examples of like how these two operate?
Yes, so the box would be more structured, right, at work, where the rose would be very driven and like fast forward, right? Like let's move quickly, where the box is into the detail, like, hey, can we please just not as fast? We first need to perfect this. And I think they can become conflict. So your question is like, how can you grow from that space of having that outlook, right?
Yes, I just want to practically put this into a value for people so that they can understand why this is so valuable.
Yeah, so let's say you are very, because both the rose and the box, and there's the other two, which is the palm and the pine. So that's the 4 temperaments this test is built on. Let's say you are a box, you would be, very task orientated, just like the rose, where the palm and the pine is more people orientated. So at work, it'd be great if you're task orientated because you can focus on the task. But sometimes you might go over the people, right? So you can focus. This test also gives you some fast forward tips to tell you like, hey, you can grow from this place where you are here to accommodate, let's say, people that are palm and pine in your workspace. Like both you two are not in your workspace, right? So cool. I can be more people orientated maybe and challenge myself to ask them questions like, hey, how are you doing? Is there anything you're struggling with? How can I help you? For the rose to be like, hey, let me just back up and inquire from the box. Is there any details I'm missing that you can help me with? Maybe ask questions, it's their strength, so ask them. And that's humbling, right? Yeah. If you think you're like perfect as a rose or a box, and you're like, this is my way, because the rose is very like my way or the highway, right? And it is. And so to be open, to be like, hey, what am I missing? Can you maybe help me with the details? And then the box can also accommodate the rose and be like, are you, by when do you want this done? When is the deadline, so that I can respect the boundary that you want to move forward? And then to let go a little bit of the perfectionism, like, cool. And for the pine, let's say they are very, very relaxed, very calm. They can also ask like, when do you want this done, to push themselves a little bit. And
it's so valuable to have this within a team, within a company, because we can understand this is my weakness.
And everyone fills the gaps,
I'm not just being rude. I'm very task orientated. Exactly. So I'm not trying to be rude.
Exactly.
I'm just not people focused, which was the case for me. So I've really been conscious of trying to make the person seen a little bit more compared to always just
to feel the people like you actually care about them,
trying to get the task done.
Because I'm so task orientated, when I have a list of things, so for example, in the test, we got like a list of your strengths, a list of your weaknesses, for example. As soon as I see a list, it's almost like my brain is like, okay, we can do something with this. Like we can make it work. So I feel like actually seeing your weaknesses and not letting it bring you down, but actually focusing on like small little habits you can do every single day to improve on those weaknesses. I think automatically your strengths will improve over time. So for me, it's never been a focus point to actually focus on improving my strengths, but more about identifying my weaknesses and then strengthening them. So this has really encouraged me to actually start working on my weaknesses and not be afraid to admit them, because I think it's so easy for me, because I am so goal orientated. It's like if I'm not that goal or ideal person, I'm almost like flip. I'm not enough right now. You feel like a failure. Yes.
That comes back to your identity. Like,
but I'm also just a human being. Yeah. Just trying to be. So I think that's what it really taught me, is like, it's okay to identify your weaknesses, accept your weaknesses. I told Cleo this thing from Mel Robbins, where she says, allow it to flow through you, but don't make it your truth. And I think it's been like something I remind myself every single day. Whenever I experience something that I know touches on my weakness, I allow it to actually flow through me. I notice it, I accept it, it's there, but I don't make it my truth, because at the end of the day, it's not who I am.
Yeah, it's not a death sentence.
Exactly.
It's not like, sorry, Nay.
Yes, it's just a little part of me, but it can also improve. So I think that's what it taught me at the end of the day.
That's great.
That's amazing. You're so valuable. Just once again, I think what I just want to touch on quickly before we land this plane, in this industry, I've struggled to build healthy habits that actually support my goals and support my mind. Psychologically, what habits can we build daily in this industry, in this industry for that matter, that actually help us in this matter? Just healthy habits.
Yeah, so I think to link habits that you want to see in your life. Some people are not exercising at all, not drinking enough water, not sleeping enough. They need to link that with something that they're already doing, right? So let's say it's a habit for you to scroll on your phone late in the evening instead of going to bed. To be like, when you pick up your phone, that be a reminder. Put a stick on your phone, like, go to sleep. Like, link it with something that is not part of you yet, because it takes time to develop a new habit. And there's a part of your brain, I can't remember what it's called, but it actually, when you do hard things that are not part of you, it actually grows. So actually do the thing you don't want to do.
I watched a video on this. It was so interesting.
So great.
I'm going to show you afterwards. It's so interesting. I know exactly what you're speaking about. Yeah.
So challenge yourself to do something hard. Right?
And it's simple things like having a cold shower because you don't like cold water. It's the small things that
make the biggest difference.
Yes.
And to link that with already, like, things that you're already doing. Like, let's say you want to read more, and you definitely have your first cup of coffee in the morning. Place your book next to the kettle, right? Then you're going to read a first chapter.
What is your view on coffee? Let's keep it
on mental health. And
I enjoy coffee.
Okay.
Sorry, it's fun, so it's fun.
So Cleo and I both went on like a caffeine detox. I'm still on it. I haven't had any caffeine. It's been like 6 weeks. So going strong. But I must admit, I don't think I feel the difference, except the fact that I think about coffee all the time.
I think, it's a good measure if you're able to stop it without like heavy withdrawals and stuff.
I went through 1 day of withdrawal, like super hectic headache, but the next day I was fine. Yeah. But obviously I sleep a lot better.
And I've watched a few different contents and videos about this, and I'm like, the one guy said it's not too bad. Physiologically for you. So I think okay, great.
I think moderation is good.
It's like, with anything.
Yeah.
You had AMSA that, remember when there was someone that literally gave a whole
yes
how it actually increases cortisol, but the coffee that you drink like at home or like instant coffees, that's not so bad. But other people say no, it's not. So debatable.
Yeah, it's debatable.
I just wanted to hear. I think everyone has their own convictions about something like that.
I think if it doesn't affect how you feel, go for it. My personal, non-professional opinion.
And Cleone, I think to answer your question, I think to just train your ventral vagal system state more through little things. So like going for a walk, humming in the car, right? that actually helps you. Listen to low frequency music that calms you. These are the little things you can do throughout the day, right? Deep breathing. Yeah, that's going to help you a lot. To just take moments.
What I'm getting from this is just being so much more conscious and self-aware.
Yes.
Where's the attention in your body? Why is it there? Don't judge it, just notice it. Why?
If you get to a space where you are quite aware of where you're at, you're experiencing these feelings, but you can't seem to get yourself out of it, when is a time, or when do you actually seek a professional? When is your own ability not enough?
Yeah, so when you're recognizing like, hey, I've tried everything, I recognize what's the problem. I think depending on what the problem is, you're going to be able to see, okay, what goals do I have in this area? Pick goals that are achievable. Sometimes the flaw that people make is that they choose goals. They're like, yes, I want to be, the best aesthetic professional, but they haven't even done the little things that matter in the aesthetic professional industry. So choose goals that are achievable. And based on that, I think you're going to be able to see like, hey, okay, I want to be better with nails, right? Cool, maybe I need to go talk to someone that is good with nails more than I need to learn how to work with acrylic, not just gel, right? Then it can help you to direct your goal. Does that answer your question? So it's going to be based on the goal that you set.
Okay.
To be able to recognize, okay, where's my limit?
Yes.
In this.
Yes.
To be able to search out more knowledge.
I think being task orientated, this has been difficult for me in the past because it's almost like my inner healing is a checklist for me. So it's like done. But then when I don't get it, I feel so frustrated with myself, with everything around me.
Yes.
And then you just need that someone to be like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Stop it.
Yes. So I think to have achievable goals is your key to actually help you, just to see even a mental health professional, just to help you set those goals. Like, I don't even know what my goals are. I'm struggling to set them. It's not achievable. I want to do everything, but I don't know how to even start. Just go sit down with a mental health professional and say, hey, help me set my goals that are realistic so that I can achieve them without feeling like a failure.
And I think it's the small wins that kind of uplift you anyway.
And to celebrate yourself.
Yes. I think that's something I've always struggled with, is actually celebrating the small wins, because I'm task orientated as well. Like if I don't get to the main goal, then nothing else is worth celebrating. But once you get there and you look back, you're like, wow, but I've done so much more than I ever thought, instead of just pausing and like experiencing that small little win.
Yeah, so I think even just to put on your calendar, very practical, like tomorrow and next week the same time, say like, what are you grateful for? What are you thankful for that you've achieved? That's a reminder on your phone showing you like, cool, and now I need to sit and take a moment to be grateful.
Yes.
Because taking time to be present is not just going to happen out of thin air.
I think so often we think that self-awareness and focusing on personal growth is something that you need so much time for, but it's literally just taking that 15 minutes a day to ground yourself and acknowledge what you're going through that makes the world of a difference. And obviously it's because it will become a habit. The more you spend time in that almost zen area of your life, automatically you'll allocate more time towards it.
Yes, exactly. You recognize the importance of taking that time, and you don't want to take that away from yourself, because you're like, I see the value of the peace that it's bringing me to ground myself. And like one of the grounding techniques is like taking 5 things, and you're like, cool, what is one thing I can smell? What is one thing I can hear? What is one thing I can see? Right? And you just go through, what can I touch? Because also your textile helps to have a heavy blanket, like, oh, I feel comforted, I can feel calm. So these things help us. So use your body to actually ground yourself, because you have so many senses, use them, right?
I love that.
To usher in peace into your life.
Yes. I think one of the things Cari taught me that was super helpful for me was, okay, what am I experiencing? And then breaking it down. Why am I experiencing that? Why am I feeling so anxious in my workplace? And then when I broke it down, or not necessarily my workplace, but why am I feeling anxious about situations? Your brain automatically gives you the answers that you've been looking for. Your brain is actually so clever. The root comes to light. And initially I realized oh, because I don't feel good enough. I feel like I'm not, that's why I'm trying to outperform myself basically, because
Yes.
I feel like I'm not good enough. I'm not accepted. I always need to work and do better.
Yes.
And it's amazing if you just sit and reflect what will actually come to mind.
Mhm.
Cari, this was an amazing session.
Thank
What I
you.
want to do is maybe if you have 3 takeaways that you want to give to our listeners in the healing journey, in what we've discussed now, 3 main practical takeaways from the session.
Yeah, so I think take moments to embrace the ventral vagal state. So that can be through your body, right? And you can just take moments to be present through that and to train that rope, right? And to train yourself to to identify what resources do I have to actually, what is in my basket already and what don't I have to put that into, to wind that into your rope, basically. The second one is what is your rope attached to? That's the main thing. Because what is your platform that is secure? Is it built on sand or is it built on a rock? Right? So that's the bigger picture. And then the third thing is go read up like well-being theories. What am I missing? What are my strengths? Do a temperament test to just encourage self-growth and to get to know yourself more. To see, okay, cool. How am I wired and how can I grow in this area? What are my strengths that I'm not embracing? And let me actually change my view from looking at my deficits and actually looking at what am I good at, and to spend more time in that. Does that make sense? Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that with us, Cari. It's been such a lovely session. I feel rejuvenated by sitting here in your presence. I think your energy is so positive and like I feel grounded by being around you.
so
and guys, if you need someone, she's your girl. She just makes you feel at peace in every conversation. So thank you for sharing your energy with us today.
We'll definitely link all of Cari's details in the link below as well.
Cari, so usually we have a tradition on the podcast where the previous guest will leave a question for the next guest without knowing who they are. Are you ready for your question? So your question is, if there's one thing you could DIY right now, what would it be and why?
Ooh.
That's such a loaded question. Loaded question.
It's like so many things. I actually love creativity. Also, as a way of recharging. So I've discovered flower pressing, and I absolutely love to do that. And maybe as a side hustle, I've started. And my husband loves woodworking, so he's going to make the frames for me. So that's something that I'm passionate about. And it's quite pretty as well.
Yes, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, so
I've seen people do it with their wedding, with their wedding flowers and all of that.
It started with my wedding journey this year, and that's why I was like, "Ooh, let me try and just learn this by myself."
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
super. Thank you so much.
Just something random. Yeah,
amazing. We will see you then. Hopefully on a next one very, very soon. This was super valuable.
Thank you so much.
We will see you guys next time. Remember to like and subscribe.